There we go. Beautiful. So this is the screen that we're typically going to be met with when we first turn the vehicle on. So we've got our navigation from here, so our maps. We've got the station that we're currently tuned to. We've got the ability to add a phone in from here. If our phone's connected, it would show up here. And then we've also got the ability to turn the heated steering wheel on or off. Now, one thing to point out, this one is the 201 version of the Mustang. That's the reason why we've got the heated steering wheel. So whether it's the 200 or the 201, that's when we get into these premium settings here. So things like the heated and cooled front seats are going to be available in the premium Mustang. So a couple of things about the screen here, going into our audio settings here. That gives us the ability now to tune to radio stations, or we can switch between active stations. You've also got the ability to change the source. So whether that's AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, if our phone was connected, it would show up here as well as any other added Bluetooth device that we may have in the vehicle. So if we ever want to change stations, we've got a couple different ways to do that. We can either use the steering wheel. So as you can see, we've got our little voice activated button there, so we can change stations there if we'd like to. Other option would be to manually tune using the knob here, or we can direct tune using this knob here instead. So same thing, all we would do is just type in the station that we'd like to tune to, press enter, and then there you go. In order to save a station, very straightforward. After you've tuned to the station that you'd like to tune to, or you'd like to save, I should say, you're just going to press and hold one of the presets here, and then it's going to save it into place. As you can see, we've now got those stations saved. You can save quite a few of these presets in here as well, and you can switch between whether they're AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. Moving into our climate control settings here. Now we do have some climate control settings that are available as hotkeys on the vehicle, or we can get into more of those advanced settings using this climate button here. A couple things to point out at the top, so that's going to be the auto mode. As you can see there, it essentially is going to control what the cabin temperature of the vehicle is going to be. So it's up to the vehicle at that point there. At the very top, we've got our max AC, we've got our windshield defroster, I should say, as well as our button for the heated steering wheel here again. We can turn it on or off using this button here. And then we've got dual zone climate control. So if your passenger likes it a little bit warmer on their side, you've got the ability to add in their personal setting there. Now, as you can see here, we've got different settings there. It's always going to default to the driver though. So if we get rid of the dual here by pressing dual, as you can see, it's taken that driver's setting. Down at the bottom here, actually, a couple more to point out here, I should say. We've got the ability to have the fan go to our windshield, to our face, or to our feet. And then this is going to be the fan control. So how fast or slow does that fan blow? Bottom one here is going to be our air circulation button. So with that button turned off the way it is right now, the vehicle is going to pull air from outside into the vehicle. If it's turned on, it's going to circulate air in the cabin instead. And we've also got our rear windshield defroster, or a rear window defroster, I should say, as well as the ability to turn our air conditioning on or off. Next up is going to be our phone. So as you can see, there's no phone connected. Now this process here is going to work the same for adding a phone, whether you're looking at one that's an iPhone or Android. So in order to be able to add a phone, literally what we're going to do is press the add phone button.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And as you can see, Ford Mustang's popped up there. So we're just going to select the Ford.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
There we go. So Bluetooth pairing request has been made. So we're going to say pair. And on the screen, we're just going to press yes there as well.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
There we go. So allow contacts and favorites, absolutely. So we're going to say yes to that. And we're also going to make sure, there we go. So perfect, we're going to finish. And as you can see, it's now connected to my phone. So we can look at my recent call list, my contacts, my phone there. We can change phones. So if you've got multiple phones set up, and in order to remove a phone, really straightforward. All we're going to do is jump into our settings here. And as you can see, we've got our phone button there. So we're going to press the phone button. Contacts have now downloaded. And looking at devices, so we've got our view devices here. And we've got my device that we just finished adding in. In order to be able to remove that from the vehicle, all we're going to do is press it here, and we can either disconnect it or we can completely remove it. So completely remove, as you can see, it's now gone. It's deleted it from the vehicle. So if we jump back into phone, phone is now gone. Now this one does have factory navigation, because it is the 201 version of the vehicle. Using factory navigation is really straightforward. So looking at the top here, all we're going to do is press the search button in order to be able to search for an address. You're just going to type in the address. So it's the address of the dealership here, and we're just going to enter that. So one thing to note is as you're typing in the address, don't just type it all in. Give it a second. It will autocomplete and it'll add your address in if the vehicle can find it. From there, we've got some options. We can either save it as a favorite or we can begin the navigation.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving. Please proceed to the highlighted route and then the route guidance will start.
So as you can see, it's not a very far distance that we're driving. In order to be able to cancel any sort of navigation that we've currently got going, we're just going to press this X button at the top and say, yes, we want to cancel the route. There we go, route canceled. Pulling our controls back up now, we can jump into our menu. We've got some different screen views, traffic lists. Big one is going to be the navigation settings, which we can change out some map preferences. So it'll be things like point of interest icons and things like that. So point of interest icons would be when do you want the map to display things like coffee shops and gas stations, yes or no. Really just a matter of personal preference. And then the incident map icons, if there's been a reported accident that the vehicle can find, it's going to show on the screen there as well. From here, we've got some basic route preferences. So we've got the ability to switch between either the fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route. And if we scroll down from here, so a couple other things, here we go, avoiding our freeways, toll roads, ferries, car trains, or tunnels. So if you're the type of driver where you prefer not to drive on toll roads, we can select that. If you want to avoid tunnels, select that as well. And the navigation that's put together for you, it's automatically going to take those preferences into account. Last up is going to be our navigation preferences, which are just going to be our guidance prompts. And that's going to be as we come up to an upcoming turn, what happens? So is it going to be, oh, there we go. Is it going to be voice and tones? Is it going to be a voice or a tone? So let's say if you have an upcoming turn in 200 meters, I should say. Is it going to be a tone letting you know, or is it going to be a voice saying, turn in 200 meters? You've got some choices there. It's really a matter of personal preference there. So we'll exit out of that and move back to our navigation preferences there. We can look at history, so if we've already searched for addresses, we can see which ones we've previously looked for. And the other one to point out is going to be our home and our work address location. So one of the benefits of doing that is no matter where you are, if you press that button on the steering wheel, so our button here, so a voice guidance button, we can essentially say navigate home or navigate to work. And it doesn't matter where you are, it'll automatically set up that destination for your home or work address that you've saved in there. Really, really neat feature. From here, we've also got our app screen. So the app screen, if the phone was connected, you'd be able to use certain apps on the vehicle. So things like Spotify, LiveX Live, or the Waze app, you'd be able to use directly through the center console screen here as well, or you can control it through the center screen. So it's a really, really neat feature. Now, having said that, the vehicle does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support. So that's one of the nice things about going for that Sync 3 screen that's available in the 101, 200, or the 201 Mustang or above. It gives you this larger Sync 3 screen. Moving into our settings now, we've got a ton of different options. First off, starting off at our sound here, we can change the treble, mid-range, bass, fade, all those things. Moving back into our clock settings here. So as you can see, we've got our clock set up as the 12-hour mode for default. If you prefer the military time instead, all you're going to do is press this 24-hour mode button. Then as you can see, we're now in military time. Couple other ones to point out, so these two here are daylight savings time. Essentially is going to automatically update you depending on the time of year. So in the fall, it's going to bring you back an hour. In the spring, it's going to push you forward an hour. So it does it automatically, so you don't have to manually change the time, I should say. Next up, or last up, I should say, on the screen is going to be our auto time zone update. So if we're driving from the East Coast to the West Coast or moving between time zones, with the auto time zone update, it's automatically going to update the time zone for you depending on where the vehicle is. Moving back now, we've got our Bluetooth settings. So Bluetooth, we can either turn it off completely or we can add in a Bluetooth device. Where that comes into play is, let's say if you're going to be adding in a Bluetooth MP3 player, so Bluetooth enabled MP3 player, you can do that from this screen here. Phone, fairly straightforward.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
So we're going to go to that screen if we want to add a phone if there isn't one connected, or as I showed you earlier, we can go through our different phone settings there. Radio, some options there. We can turn the radio text off, I should say. The radio text is going to be this here. So do you want that information showing up? Yes or no? Again, matter of personal preference. 911 assist. So the phone does need to be connected in order for 911 assist to be active. Where that system comes into play is if you're in a collision, the vehicle senses that, it'll automatically make a phone call to 911 for you. So the huge benefit of having your phone connected to the vehicle set up properly and having that 911 assist on. From here, going back into navigation, we've got our map, route, or navigation preferences, which we've already covered in that navigation setting. On this screen, last one is going to be our mobile apps. So there are some apps that work over USB, some that you work over Bluetooth. So things like Spotify, LiveX Live, so our radio apps, we won't need to be connected via USB in order for that to work. But having said that, Apple CarPlay, you do need to be connected to USB in order for that to work. Android Auto works over Bluetooth. Last screen here, we've got a ton of other options. Moving into our general settings here, we can change between language, so English, Spanish, or French, Celsius or Fahrenheit, kilometers or miles, that beep that we keep on getting. So if you're really not a fan of that beep, we can turn it off. And it's really straightforward there. All we're going to do is press that button here. And as you can see, that beep has gone away. The automatic system updates, I do recommend keeping that one turned on because it's automatically going to update the firmware and the software in the vehicle for you, especially if you're connected to Wi-Fi at home. The only thing that's not going to be updated is going to be the navigation. That's one that you have to manually do yourself, or when your vehicle's in for service, have your service advisor do it for you. Other one to point out is going to be our reset. So if for whatever reason the Sync 3 screen here is giving you some issues, do a master reset. It's going to reset it to factory defaults. Or if you're selling your vehicle, do a master reset and then it'll wipe out any info that you might have saved on the vehicle. Automatic updates, I've already explained that. Make sure that you keep automatic updates turned on. And then from here, we've got Wi-Fi. So we can connect the vehicle to Wi-Fi. All you do is select your Wi-Fi network at home and then enter in your password and you're good to go. FordPass Connect, really neat. So the vehicle itself is essentially got a built-in modem. So you can use that as a wireless hotspot. So if you've got friends, kids, whatever the case may be, that want to be connected on the go, you want to be connected on the go, you can do that. There is a data plan that you have to purchase from Canada. It's Bell Mobility. And all you're going to do is you're going to set up a data-only plan, and then you'd be able to use the vehicle as a hotspot on the go. Looking into some basic vehicle settings. So we've got some camera settings and then our onboard modem serial number, our display. So a couple of things about the display. So as of right now, we're in our auto mode. So depending on how dark or bright it is outside, that's going to automatically flip you between the daytime or the nighttime mode. So really a matter of preference, but I personally love the look of the nighttime mode. Give it a sec to update there. But look at that. I love the blue. Love what they've done with this. So matter of personal preference, you can have it locked in daytime mode, or you can set it in auto, and the vehicle's automatically going to determine if it should be daytime or nighttime mode. From here, we can change the background if we'd like to. So there are a few options for the background settings there. And then the last one is going to be the display off. So if we press that button, it essentially gets rid of the noise there as we go. Press the screen again in order to bring it back to life here. Couple more things to point out. We've got our voice control. So the voice control is going to work hand in hand with our steering wheel button here. So where that really comes into play, let me show you an example. So advanced mode is currently turned off. So we're going to press that steering wheel button and change the radio station. Tune to 94.9.
22 FM 94.9.
So as you heard, it gave us a setting, so it essentially let us know that it was tuning to a station. When we turn the advanced mode on, let's try that again. Tune to 102.1. As you can see, we didn't get a message there, but if we look, it has tuned us to a different radio station instead. And that's one of the benefits of having that advanced mode on, is you won't get as many prompts in the vehicle. Phone confirmation is if you're making a phone call, it's would you like to call such and such person. So I do recommend keeping that one turned on. And then our last one is going to be our voice command list. When we press that voice command button, the list is this here. So it's really a matter of personal preference as to whether or not that one comes up. Lastly on the screen here is going to be our valet mode. So valet mode essentially is going to lock out the screen if we enter in a 4-digit combination. So let's use something difficult. 0000. Please don't use 0000 as your code. But what that's done is that's locked out the screen here. So if my phone was connected, if somebody else was driving the vehicle or a valet was parking it, essentially locks the screen out. So you can't go snooping, it can't go looking through the screen there. You can turn the vehicle on and off, it's not going to go away. So what you have to do is enter that 4-digit combination again, done, and then as you can see, it's unlocked everything again for us. And that's going to be that Sync 3 screen.